Part 1 of the inviting formula is greeting. The definition of greeting is polite, verbal, and nonverbal expressions used when meeting or talking to your prospect. Verbal expressions are pretty simple, but what would be examples of nonverbal expressions? A hand wave, a big smile, a handshake, to name a few. The purpose of the greeting is to get your prospect willing to talk freely and openly to you. Most people never think of this. They think a greeting is simply a hello. A simple hello is part of the greeting, but not the whole thing. The greeting is not complete until you've achieved the purpose of the greeting, which is to get your prospect to talk freely and openly to you. So in most cases, a simple hello will not fulfill the purpose of the greeting. It's only the start. If your prospect is not talking freely and openly to you, do not move to the next step, which is qualify. I hope that makes logical sense to you. See, if you progress too quickly out of greeting and into qualify, and the purpose of qualify is to find out what they need or want, if you've not gotten them to talk freely and openly to you in the greeting, then they won't tell you what they really need and want. You will get an on-the-surface type of an answer. So the greeting is very critical in setting up the rest of the formula to work correctly. If you think back to times your calls to prospects haven't gone well, you may see that you jumped too quickly to qualifying them, or worse yet, you jumped straight to inviting them before you had them willing to talk freely and openly to you, or finding out what they needed and wanted. All right, now you know the purpose of the greeting. Now let's talk about how to do a greeting correctly. Let's talk about greeting your warm market. Greeting someone involves communicating with them by making statements and asking questions. Typically, the greeting starts off with simple questions. How are you? That then leads to slightly more in-depth questions based on the prospect's response, then to more in-depth questions. In the case of people you know, the greater you know someone, the more in-depth you can start the greeting, such as, are you still working at Best Buy? The smoothness with which one moves from simple questions to in-depth questions and have the prospect follow you is the mark of great communication. A common error in greeting people is thinking about what to say or what to ask next while the prospect is responding to your earlier question. This couldn't be more incorrect. This causes the prospect to not feel as though they were heard. It also causes inappropriate responses from you that prove to the prospect you didn't hear them. And it causes you to not be able to recall what the person said. And the basic incorrectness is that you're not truly being interested in your prospect. Instead, you are interested in your next question to the prospect. This is the root of forgetting someone's name immediately after they said it. You were simply more interested in what your response or question would be. All right, let's start the live calls. Before I do, I want to explain how these work. I have 3 different sounds that alert you to something happening on the call. When you hear this ring, it means the call is starting. You'll also hear the same ring when the call is completed. When you hear this chime, it means that I had to edit something out, like a person's phone number or their last name, or if they happen to say something personal that I don't think the person would feel comfortable having someone else hear it. I also edit out anything I might say that would be specific to my company. When you hear this chime, it means that I'm going to insert my voice in the call to point something out to you. The chime is so that you can tell when I'm talking to you versus talking with the prospect. Also, my voice will sound slightly different. At the conclusion of my insertion, you will hear the same chime again, indicating I'm returning you to the live call. That way, you know that I'm no longer talking to you, but I'm now talking to the prospect. All right, listen to this live call with a referral named Catherine. On this call, what I want you to listen for is the exact moment I accomplished the greeting.
Hello?
Hello, can I speak to Catherine?
This is she.
Hi, Catherine. My name is Tim Sales. You know Sue?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she gave me your telephone number and suggested that I call you. I am working on a project, and I want to talk to you about it. Can I?
Sure.
She said that you're a bookkeeper. Is that what you do?
Yep.
How long have you been a bookkeeper?
Oh, gosh, maybe 15 years now.
15 years?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. So have you ever done anything else?
Well, I had my own business, and that was a house cleaning business, and I had a lot of employees then, and just some work for my church, and then that was about it.
Oh, so you've been an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How'd you get into the house cleaning business?
I'm actually natively good at it. I'm Irish, so that just makes us good at that. And
so you have to be from Ireland to be good at business. Is that what you're saying?
That's right, but we can't cook. So anyway, I don't know. It was just something I was good at, and there was a big demand up in the Bay Area, so it was a good business.
All right. Could you hear at the moment she started laughing, she really opened up and was willing to talk openly to me? When I listened to the playback of that call, I could literally feel her defenses drop right when she laughed. This next call is a really nice lady named Lynn that I met on a yacht about a year ago. There were about 20 other people on the boat, and so we had talked as a group, and she and I had had some one-on-one conversation as well. She's a singer, a very talented one, I might add. We've talked a couple of times since that first meeting. When I called her, we had not talked in about 7 months or so. If instead of listening to what we're saying, and it's hard because you get caught up in listening to someone else's conversation, but if you listen exclusively to the inviting formula at work, you will hear 3 questions or comments from me, and it isn't until the third one that I accomplish the greeting. See if you can detect that.
Hello?
Is this Lynn Rose?
This is Lynn Rose. Who's
This
this?
is Tim Sales.
Tim Sales.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to hear your voice.
You too. What you been up to?
Busier than busy. Working away, working at a couple different projects. That's all good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you still using that incredible voice of yours?
Too sweet. I am. Going to be actually traveling very soon and doing some concerts, and very happy about it.
Is it like, big stuff? Are you, is it something that I can watch on TV here?
Oh, isn't that nice? No, I can always show you video if you want, but no, I'm just going to be going to Japan and going to speak and sing over there. I have a translator as well, which is going to be fun. But speak for 15 minutes and then do a little mini concert afterwards. And then I'm going to go visit some old friends and sing at some places I used to sing at there. It's going to be great.
All right. Hopefully you were able to detect the 3 questions or comments I made to get her to talk freely and openly to me. Now let's talk about greeting strangers. In greeting strangers in person as opposed to being on the phone, there are basically 2 ways to do it. Number 1, start the conversation by bluntly asking a question, such as, do you take supplements? It's abrupt, but if delivered well and the stranger has an interest in the question, it can work. This is the basic approach to doing surveys. By survey, I mean you walk up to someone and ask if they've ever thought about owning their own business, or if they take supplements. The second way to start conversations with strangers is by talking about items in the environment. Temperature, chair, elevator speed, table, earrings, anything. With things in the environment, you point out some interesting item and start the conversation about it. I've not been outside today. Is it cold out? See, you're getting your prospect to focus on the environment. Or, I see you have a large bag of wheat in your cart. What do you use it for? See, the item in the environment is what you direct the prospect to look at and talk about. Then take their response, or lack of, and build from there. Greetings, which turn into conversations that then turn into relationships, are created by finding things, then more things the 2 of you agree on. No relationship just happens. Someone creates it. The way I think of this is that there are 3 separate entities. Entity 1 is you. Entity 2 is your prospect. Entity 3 is the relationship that is formed between the 2 entities. The third entity, the relationship entity, requires both Entity 1 and 2 to exist. If you've ever been in a one-sided relationship, you know how true that statement is. The relationship is not just you, and it's not just them. The relationship is both of you. That's why I view the relationship as a separate unit. So no relationship just happens. It's not fate that you meet someone. You or they cause the relationship to start and continue and end. Sometimes it's both people, but in the very beginning seconds, one person continues to create it long enough for the other person to start contributing to it also. Once the stranger is contributing to the conversation, the third unit or entity begins to develop. Then, a blunt question such as, do you take supplements, isn't so blunt. It should be no surprise to you that I'm biased towards starting conversations this way instead of the blunt question approach simply because you're actually fulfilling a proper greeting.